Okay, so this is a video on a revise. This is Christmas week, so it's not like an insane week. Obviously, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are holiday weeks or days. So very short week. Monday, Tuesday is all I got to trade. This is my third week with this current demo account or eval account, where I'm trying to make 1,500 in under a month. But I want to talk about what I took one trade this week on Tuesday, and I'm going to go over that. But I want to go over what last week did and some just basic S&P 3 and all that. So, but price last week reached this relevant low, right? Created S&P with it versus YM. You can call this advanced premium to discount, but so RTY should just expand away from this S&P. We shouldn't, continue the expansion lower. We should create that either C2 or C3 reversal away from this. As you see, price fell to, so automatically this would become failure S&P, and we can look for a swing switching on YM to catch up to reach this low, right, to break the S&P. But if we're not going to do that, and if we're going to hold this S&P, then the trigger for expansion back into the range would be some form of swing switching on RTY to do so, to switch from the weaker asset to the stronger asset. And so we held this S&P, and then we saw some form of string switching here, right next time on Thursday, where RTY is weaker, now it's stronger because we're creating a higher low while YM is creating a lower low. So obviously the daily bias is still very unclean. I mean, we're going into Christmas, so this is like obviously expected. It's December. You can expect shitty PA around this time, but ideally we should have closed more strongly. But you can also see some form of string switching as well with how this day closed versus this day. Obviously this day closed more bearishly, while RTY, the stronger asset now, is closing more bullishly. So as you can see, since we're below this low, we're wanting to show string switching to catch up to YM. But so So you can definitely trade Friday higher to target these, back in the range to target these further swings. But let's go into next week though. Right? And that's exactly what Friday did. So we even created more S&T going into Friday. YM, since we closed more near the low, we created a new lower low. So now next week, Christmas week, or the current week, is opening up within a candle formation, a C2, away from this second stage S&T. We still have these failure swings. Right, I'll show that on the four real quick. We still have these four failure swings to target. So I didn't trade on Monday. I'm not sure why. I guess we'll figure that out. I didn't revise before I did this, but I'm sure it's pretty logical. But so we can definitely anticipate Monday to create that C3 continuation, right? This would be the GXC continuation sequence. We can expect Monday to actually trade higher to target these further swings. But if so, ideally we trade in RTY though, right? Because it is the stronger asset now to reach for this high. But if Monday is going to do that, then it should respect EQ, the pre-day range rate, the T-spot. But obviously we're finding the validation level down to the closest 4-hour or 1 hour level to the daily kind of open. What do we do? Right, this is the main draw on liquidity here, target level. So at first things first is prior to today's open, we created S&P fill here. So again, we showed more string switching on RTY. As YM traded below this, whatever, I don't care about that. We traded into this gap, created S&T between candle 1, candle 2. That's the first cracking correlation, and then 2 p.m. closed bearishly on YM, while we closed bullishly on RTY. So that's the second cracking correlation. So this is a second stage PSP, high probability continuation signature, but nevertheless. So we don't need to retrace down into this gap tomorrow, even though this is the closest 4-hour level, or you can count the CSD to the daily can open. We don't need to retrace. We can just simply expand away from this. So like on the 1 hour, you'll see that today created the SMT on here, SMT fell, and then today opened up, created the CSD here. So this would automatically become the new protected swing or key level to frame the low day off of, pretty much, on the 1 hour. And so, what do we do? Let's put the 4 hours, okay, so the 4 hours on here. Let's go into, so notice how this is very clean. So notice how price reached into this key 1 hour for level, created a swing point, so we should just expand away from that automatically, or when price doesn't expand away from a swing point, that's automatically viewed as consolidation. And if we're going to be bullish, we have to manipulate this low as a relevant swing. See the space between this low and this low? We have to manipulate this as a relevant swing to trade higher. And so we see price here manipulates it, or reaches below it, and then we immediately reverse away from it, creating that V-shaped formation that we want to protect the low day on the 1 hour 30 minute, creating that CSD. But there was also manipulation below current day low, so it was London manipulation, or C2, away from the key 1 hour for level. And so this swing point on the 4 hour defines the low day. And now simply all we're doing is trading 4 hour expansion candles away from this key level towards the target level. So let's go into what do we do prior to the driver. Okay. And so this is why I didn't trade during the driver on OT or on Monday, but simply let's go to the 30 minute to be way clearer. So daily supports expansion, right? We opened up here. So the daily supports expansion because of the small wick. The 4 hour supports expansion during 6 a.m. And so what do we do prior to the driver? This is 8:30, so 9 a.m. We retraced away from the key level. We left it open. Whereas, so now we're not, the 1 hour and 30 minute is not aligned with expansion. Also, we're extremely bullish. So at this point, we would need to see driver reversal, which means I would confirm the reversal with a 5 or 3 minute CSD away from a key 1 hour 30 minute level. And simply, if I were to, I want to go to the look at YM real quick, but let's go to the 5 or 3 minute. So what do we have? So simply I just have to confirm, does the driver reverse and expand towards the target level and confirm the reversal with the 5 or 3 minute CSD? We do, but we validate that CSD and reach the target level before giving entry. So there's no entry, so I can't trade this, simply. But going into 10 a.m. Okay. If I were to show, yeah. Let's see the 1 hour. Let's go back to the 4 hour actually. So the driver, we already know there was no entry during the driver. Right. And so what was clean about this is on the 4 hour, we clearly are failing to manipulate this relevant swing. All these further swings to this relevant swing. So we can definitely, since the daily supports expansion bullishly, we can definitely reach for the next relevant swing. But I know that we're probably not going to reach that. But we can still continue the expansion to reach for it. So therefore we can definitely capitalize on the 4 hour expansion candle away from the key level or low day towards the new target level, I suppose. Looking at YM though. You can see the YM. We actually see some form of like 2 stages SMT. Again, more strong switching. We've seen London take out, or fail to take Asia low here. And then, while RTY did. And then RTY failed to take a London low while YM did. So here's another form of, again, 2 stages SMT or string switching. where R2I is showing more strength, and by how price closed as well on the 4 hour, we can clearly see that R2I is stronger versus YM, but YM has these failure swings still left open, very clean. So I definitely want to see YM show some form of strength switching on the 1 hour 30 minute to catch up to R2I, to at least reach this high, and then eventually this high. So jumping out of the winner, obviously we close with a C2 London manipulation. Right, which confirms the low day. Actually, so all we're doing now is turning 4 expansion candles away from the low day towards the target level. So dropping on the winner 30 minute. What did we do prior to the 10 AM open? Fucking forget all this. Yeah, this was the S&T here. Right. What do we do? Get all this on here. Some shit like this. I don't know. Forget about this S&T actually. It was here. It was this low was taken here on YM, 6 AM low, 6 AM at the low day on YM. Wow, 6 AM did not make the low day on R2I, so that was S&D. But then we reverse away from this, go to that CST, right? But from the low day on the 1 hour 30 minute. But what was clean about this day too is the fact that R2I was definitely tradable bullishly. We weren't stuck within any consolidation really. I mean, we were here, but we clearly showed some form of internal manipulation to then trade higher, while YM was clearly stuck in consolidation defined by range high here to range low. So it was very unclean PA, right? 4 hours. We haven't reached any key 1 hour for level to frame the low day, so I can't trust any of this S&T bullshit here. But R2I was cleaner, so R2I was definitely cleaner to trade. Valid to trade, I would say. But what was it? So, but it was the fact that price here, we took this high out here a long time ago. We took it out here, okay, on R2I, right here, okay. And clearly R2I is expanding through it. It's clearly found manipulated, especially during the driver. So drivers are really confirming the narrative to reach for the next relevant swing. It's found to manipulate this high. So that means that the driver on Dow on YM should catch up to break this high, SSMD. Right? Blah, 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 whatever. Still unclean, very unclean PA. But I've already determined that trading to the driver was not valid today, but especially since YM is reversing away from failure swings, you just can't trust that, so you gotta just wait. And at this point, you would look for AMD continuation, but I feel like I manipulate this relevant swing rate to reach for these highs. Or that's not even a relevant swing, but nevertheless, let's go to 30 minutes where everything is at. It's very way cleaner. So, I should have prepared this, but so we see going into, let's just look at R2Y. So clearly we're falling in the middle of this relevant swing during 6 AM during the driver, so therefore 10 AM should continue. And we know the daily in for support expansion, great. So if 10 AM is going to make the continuation or expansion candle on the far away from the key level or low day, then price should respect the closest 1 hour or 30 minute key level within the upper half of the pre-broken range, simply. And also, so 10 AM is opening up within a GXD continuation sequence as 10 AM or 9 AM manipulated or created that C2. So 10 AM should create that C3. If it doesn't create C3 and it disrespects EQ, this 1 hour candle, which would be the refined invalidation level, then 10 AM will create too large of a wick, which means that the FAR candle won't support the expansion away from the low day, which means that's an invalidation towards the whole bias. And this is the new key level, fair level. So, okay, so we can simply look for 10 AM to make the continuation in 5 or 3 minutes. Literally as simple as that. We're doing the 1 hour and 5 minute model. The 1 hour 3 minute lands with expansion. The for aligns with expansion, as long as Tenium respects the invalidation level. The daily aligns with expansion. So I would look for Tenium to create that. Well, this is 930, so let's go into Tenium. Right. So I would look for Tenium to create that continuation entry, which we did prior to Tenium. Here, I don't like that though. Like, we could have taken this. This was definitely valid. This was valid for sure. Put my stop below here, shoot for that 2R. But you see that price never reaches it. Instead, we just continue the expansion. We do create this protected swing, but this ain't a protected swing because it's super small of an order block and we don't retrace into any key level, right? I would never buy off this. This is not trustworthy at all. So, 930 C2, Tenium C3, 1030 C4, right? So I would simply just wait. Then you see price retrace into a key level. And then this is during 1030, so C4. Right, I'll show that real quick. Right. So 9 AM C2, or 930 C2, 10 AM C3, 1030 C4. So it's a little bit risky now because we're kind of extremely bullish and we're at a higher premium of that here, but nevertheless, the 1 out there still supports expansion. We're still aligned with expansion on every time frame, so this is definitely valid. Problem with this is we don't validate that yet, so we have to wait. Boom, we do. And so, if you can trade this, you can take that, put your stop below the rejection block, shoot for that 2R, or you can take like the retracement to the gap here, the rejection block, for your stop loss there, shoot for that 2R, and then, yeah, and then just hold for that 2R. And then, so Tenium was definitely valid to trade today. And then you got that expansion towards the target level, simply, during the Tenium forward candle. So the daily supported expansion for us, supported expansion for Tenium, expansion away from the low day towards the target level. Tenium opened it up in that GXT continuation sequence during the driver, where the driver created that reversal, right? And then Tenium never created any prominent continuation entry on the 5 or 3 minute, but we did during 1030. Take that entry, look for a 2R towards the target level. Boom, simple as that. So this was today though. I didn't trade this. I actually, since there was no entry during the driver, I simply just turned off my charts and like exercised or just did something else. I was overthinking everything as well today, not gonna lie. But and then YM did catch up. But I was today though. I was looking at I didn't see the fact that price was failing to manipulate this high, this SMT, or this what was it? I don't even know. I forgot. I gotta view my logs. Honestly, it made a lot of sense though. But oh well, we'll just go into the next one. The day that I traded. But this day was actually very clean. I should have probably realized this before I made this video, but yeah, so yeah, not so good. Alright, so let's go into the next day. See what we got. So we see Monday, clearly, or do I show more strength? We do range low to range high, order pair range on the daily, or internal to external on YM, but nevertheless, we can definitely see Monday low of the week and Tuesday continuation tomorrow. But, did I trade RTY? Why can't I grab my Discord? Okay, so we know that we held that SMT, right? We created that string switch. Friday made C2. Yesterday on Monday made C3, away from the key level. And now today can definitely make C4 continuation, right? As long as the day creates that small wick, respects the invalidation level, or EQ the predator range. But let's drop it in the 4 hour and 1 hour to refine that invalidation level. Look for that universal model and 4 hour profiling away from that. Right, so we know that YM still has this eye left open. Very clean. This is now like more of a filler swing, I would say, to it. I don't think we should reverse it. We could. I mean, technically, I really don't. Yeah, I guess that would be a relevant swing. We could reverse lower. So, this is a relevant swing to this relevant swing, right? So if we're going to reverse lower, then we have to just reverse away from this key level, simply. We created that C2 and we inside barred right afterwards. So then you see going into today, right, we opened up. And we clearly, right, we got that new phase of price delivery, we clearly are inside barring. See, it was so clean. But we were clearly fell into reverse away from this relevant swing, which kind of it supported the bullishness today. So, but the problem is now that price is inside barring, I have to see price manipulate one side of the range to go either higher or lower. Like if we manipulate range high, then we're going to go lower. If we manipulate range low, then we're going to go higher, right? Ideally, we manipulate range low, right, to go higher. But going into 6 a.m., right, we're just stuck within this pre-4 hour kind of range, so we're just consolidating. We have yet to reach any key 1 hour for level. I don't care about the 1 hour at this point because we're just consolidating on the 4 hour. So, I mean, even on the 1 hour, I guess we could reach into a 1 hour key level and it would be fine. But we're stuck within a consolidation even on the 1 hour. There's no key level. So going into ideally 6 a.m. manipulates one of these. Either range high or range low, a key 1 hour for level, right? And ideally it happens during the driver or before the driver, and the driver expands away from it. Right, and then you see 16 perfectly does so, it reaches below range low, manipulates to create C2. I can't trade, this is why I didn't trade during 6 a.m. or during the driver, because of the 6 a.m. candle, it didn't support expansion. Right, so actually on the 30 minute, you'll see that price at 9 a.m. reached this key level, put in that reversal prior to the driver, and even then at that point, or you can even view it on the 1 hour, it doesn't really matter. We have yet to reach the key level prior to the driver, so the driver should reach that key level and put in that reversal. Perfectly did so. So, I would just confirm the entry with a 5 minute CSD. And I could have traded this. We created that reversal signature during the driver. We expanded away from it. Boom. And so, I could have taken that. But I would have referred to the 30 minute. I would be like, okay, well, we're putting the reversal part of the driver. I would have to take an entry off of a 1 hour 30 minute CSD, so I can't trade this. But it doesn't matter because the 4 hour candle doesn't support expansion bullshit because of the large wick, right? So simply, I wouldn't trade this because of that. So since the 4 hour candle doesn't support expansion, it doesn't mean the day is untradeable. I would simply just wait for the new 4 hour candle to open. And since we made 6 a.m. manipulation away from the key 1 hour 4 hour level, that determines the low of day. And now all we're doing simply is trading for 10 a.m. expansion for our candle away from the key level towards the target level, which would be range high. And since we know that we're failing to manipulate this relevant swing, we should reach for the next relevant swing. We should reach beyond this high to reach for this high. Right, this is also a gap. You can do this as internal to external, right? Or order pairing ranges. I think order pairing ranges is more logical, but nevertheless, it's the same shit. But it doesn't really matter how you view it, as long as there's a universal model in the fire, that's all there's. So, but is there swing switching? Is there any SMT, blah, blah, on the fire? Let's see. Well, we can see that 6 a.m. on RTY actually closed with a continuation candle. It didn't reverse away from this key level. So clearly RTY is showing some form of string switching to catch up to YM since RTY. Since RTY has reached above this high, but YM is still below it. Right. So we're finally showing some form of string switching to become stronger on YM. Okay. So if 6 a.m. manipulates, then 10 a.m. should continue, simply for upper flan. Very clean. Daily source expansion. It's a pretty large wick, but it's not like too crazy. It's definitely tradable. And then 10 a.m. supports expansion as long as price respects the invalidation level, right? Which, if I drop down to the winner, we can see that 10 a.m. is opening up within that GXC continuation sequence, which we created that swing point away from the key winner for a level during the driver as well. Very high probability, right? Where 9:30 manipulates, so 10 a.m. should continue, which aligns with the for profile, but it's the fact that 10 a.m. is opening up within that GXC continuation sequence, and if it doesn't respect EQ of this candle, one, that will create too large of a wick during the 10 EM4 candle, therefore it won't support expansion or the bias. Two, we'll head below the 6 EM4 candle, which would obviously, but that's not what we want to see. We want to see continuation during 10 EM away from the 6 EM4 candle low. Also, I like how today opened up. There's so many things I can fucking talk about today. I like how today opened up and traded. We get the left feather swings, and we immediately traded the lower down into the key of 1 hour for level. We kind of like consolidated, right? But we didn't reach into any key level before heading lower into the key level to the trade away from. Right, so that was very clean. So we had like these feather swings here as well. But nevertheless, this is like the low hanging fruit and then the target level. What was clean about this 9 EM candle in the winner is it's not just a regular swing point. We created a PSP. Right, 9 EM closed bearishly on RTY while closed bullishly on YM, so that's kind of like a form of string switching as well. But since RTY is closing near the low of the candle during 9 AM and 10 AM is opening up near the low, we can definitely anticipate, and especially since the 6 AM candle reached into the key winner for level and fell to reverse. This is when you can, this is the, and it did it during the driver. This is like the ideal 10 AM reversal where 10 AM should reverse off a pre-4 candle low to create that reversal, right? Create that C2 reversal into expansion candle or small wick reversal candle. Away from the key level, it's valid for expansion candle. Away from the key level, definitely it's tradable, it's valid. But since YM did create that reversal, YM should not head below the pre-candle low, so we should create that SMT or second stage PSP. That's exactly what you see. Beautifully. There you go. So the first cracking correlation being 9 AM where it closed with the PSP, and then we seen YM create a higher low while RTY created a lower low, creating that second stage cracking correlation. Or second cracking correlation between the SMT between kind of 2 and kind of 3. So 10 AM literally has to create C3. It literally has to. If we don't expand away from the C2, then, like I said, if we don't expand away from a swing point, that's automatically viewed as consolidation, which means that I would have to see 10 AM manipulate 6 AM low to go higher, which, like I said, would be an invalidation result wise. So we literally have to expand away from the swing point. It's a very high, especially since it's a second stage PSP. It's the best form of a swing point. It's literally, this is very prominent. But literally everything is in my favor. But we know the daily supports expansion, the forest supports expansion, the 1 hour 30 minute is aligned with expansion, right? So simply the 1 hour, I can look for 10 AM C3, and then look for the 5 minute entry or 3 minute entry. I took it off the 3 minute. Since we're from the low day still, technically, the low day hasn't been confirmed because we haven't created a CSD on any time frame. Even on the 30 minute, we fell to barely. So I still have to take a continuation entry, which is automatic because we've already confirmed the continuation entry on the 5 or 3 minute during the driver. So let me put the 10 AM on here. Okay. So continuation entry here. So I was gonna take my entry off this here. Price never retraces into it, so I just simply wait. We actually formed some form of SMT here, I think. Yeah, it was right here with this low. That was the SMT between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Right here, boom. Here, boom. Right, this low, this here, there. And then we created. I didn't count this as a CSD or this here after the system deformed because these are very small bodied order blocks. Don't care for that. Technically, we are still inside barring within this range here, right? So this is technically still the CSD or continuation order block. So we see 10 a.m. expand away from that. Create that continuation entry. I took my entry like below the order block, like right here. Put my stop here, and I targeted to her. But I actually took it. Oh, I'm gonna get rid of this. Take it right here, so it's a little bit above, right there, I think. So one up. Alright. Stop was right here. Took it to her. Right, I took it off here. So that was my trade. Very, very simple. And then you see price after reaching my target, it just consolidates. We do slightly reach beyond that. I could reach a 3R, but it doesn't matter. Beautiful. Alright, I gotta end this video, but that was it. So I risked a little bit more than I should have. Or it's like 350 or some shit. I made $700, so. But I'm halfway there. I have one more week till I have to end this demo account. If I don't make $1,500 next week, or if I don't make like $700 next week, then I failed this eval. So I'm gonna go all in. Let's do it.